Picture this. You're enjoying a well-deserved retirement, you're surrounded by family and friends, and you're free to explore your passions and your dreams. It's the retirement you've always envisioned. But here's the reality check. Achieving the dream requires way more than just saving money. It's about strategic financial planning, especially when it comes to taxes. I'm Amber Knips, Wealth Advisor at Sweet Financial Partners, located in Fairmont and Jackson, Minnesota. And I specialized in helping 401k participants just like you navigate the complexities of 401k plans and how to navigate life's biggest transitions, which one of those is retirement. We believe that everyone has the right to realize their dreams are possible and helping you plan for your future. Let's start by addressing a common misconception that you may have about your retirement savings. It's the idea of as long as you're contributing, that's sufficient. And while this is good, it could be a really harmless mistake that can have significant consequences down the road. The truth is, when it comes to retirement savings, it's not just about how much you save, but it's also where you save it. And a crucial aspect of retirement planning is diversifying your different types of accounts to optimize your tax strategy. And your 401k plays a really critical role in this. And you might be wondering why tax planning is such a big deal, especially in the context of your 401k. Well, the major reason is that there's a big misconception that retirees will always be in a lower tax bracket in retirement. And you're probably thinking, well, wouldn't that make sense because I'm no longer earning? But that's not always the case. And it can often lead you to prioritize putting too much pre-tax in, whereas the reality can be really different. And maybe you should have saved a little bit differently. So tax planning is crucial not only before retirement, but also really important during your retirement years. It's not just about filing taxes every year. It's about creating a very strategic plan to minimize your tax liability long term. Because being tax efficient is not paying the least amount of tax each year and having your blinders on. It's about paying the least amount of tax over time. So oftentimes they're two very different things. So let's talk about the importance of diversification within your 401k account. And I know you're probably sitting there saying, oh gosh, I have that all set. I can turn this video off, right? Wrong. And let me tell you why. You have likely saved a big portion of your retirement savings within that pre-tax account. And it's a very popular choice, but it could mean that maybe now you need to do some further planning. Retirement income can be a very, very complex web once you start taking distributions. And where you take those distributions can make a big difference because withdrawing funds from a pre-tax 401k or IRA account means that every dollar you take out, you pay taxes on. So think of it this way. You have $1 million in your 401k. You don't actually have $1 million to spend. You owe taxes on a chunk of that. So really, you don't have quite as much as you think to cover those retirement expenses. So let's talk about life in retirement. You've worked really hard to build up that nest egg, but have you considered all the expenses that you might encounter once you are in retirement? It's not just about covering the base expenses, the day-to-day. It's about covering some of those big, exciting things that you didn't have the ability to do while you were working. So if you're just relying on pre-tax savings, you might find yourself in a bind when you want to take that dream family vacation, buy a new car, or maybe do some gifting to your family members. And unfortunately, the IRS doesn't consider our kids to be very good charities, so no tax benefits there. Financial flexibility is essential in retirement, and putting all of your eggs in that one pre-tax basket can really limit your options. So, what do you do if you find yourself in the situation where you've saved too much pre-tax, or maybe you don't know if you've saved too much pre-tax? It's important to address that and see the different types of things that you can do. So it's not all lost. There are some different planning opportunities, and that's where we spend a lot of time discussing with our clients. And first and foremost, if you are still working, you could look at potentially shifting some of your contributions to be post-tax into like a Roth 401k if your employer offers, or doing even a Roth IRA on the side. This allows you to create an even more tax diversified portfolio, which can potentially be beneficial in retirement. If you're closer to retirement or you're entering into retirement, maybe even considering a Roth conversion, which we'll talk a little bit more about, could offer some different advantages, especially when you're looking at your overall plan. So here's some key points when you're looking at the value of Roths. The first is tax diversification. And one of the primary benefits from a tax perspective is it's kind of the opposite of pre-tax funds. So it's funds that you've already paid taxes on. So in retirement, as long as you follow a couple different rules, any portion you take out of a Roth, you don't pay taxes on. So you have the ability to have a little bit more flexibility for some of those fun things and maybe not jump brackets and different things like that. So the second benefit is tax-free growth. So once you've converted to a Roth account, any earnings and investment gains on those, they grow tax-free, which can be a really big benefit, not paying tax on that growth eventually in retirement. And over time, that tax-free growth can really enhance your retirement nesting. Number 3, tax planning flexibility. Roth conversions can provide you with a lot of flexibility to manage your tax brackets and your tax liability. So being able to say, well, I'm going to take a portion from this account and a portion from this account can keep you in that more manageable bracket versus everything that you take out in that pre-tax space being subject to taxes. You know, potentially where you are tax bracket wise, it could mean paying less taxes overall because you're able to take advantage of the brackets that are a little bit lower right now than they potentially will be in the future. Number 4, no required minimum distributions. And this is what we run into a lot, is having those big balances in the pre-tax portion. Eventually what happens for a lot of people is they're like, I don't need to take all that money. Once you hit that specific age where you have to start taking funds out of your retirement accounts, it could be way more than you need. And then you're really stuck from a tax perspective. So being able to take advantage of spreading that out a little bit versus waiting up until that portion where you have to start taking those required minimum distributions. The nice thing is within a Roth, within a Roth IRA, not necessarily a Roth 401k, you don't have to take those required minimum distributions. So it could be a big benefit. Number 5, legacy planning. So Roth IRAs can be a really valuable tool for estate planning since they are tax-free for your beneficiaries down the road. So it's a great inheritance if that's something that's important to you that you've determined when you've been doing your different planning for the future. So not having that tax burden for your kids, if that's important. Number 6, long-term savings. So Roth conversions are not just about short-term savings, they're about a long-term financial planning savings tool. So over time, the savings on those can be significant in addition to providing some of that financial security and peace of mind. And number 7, emergency fund. Roth IRA accounts can serve as an emergency fund in retirement because the contributions can be withdrawn penalty-free at any point. So it can be another place to access if you need to. It's better not to, but things always pop up that you can access your principal, what you put in, without any taxes or penalties. So it is important to note that Roth conversions should be carefully planned for and tailored to you specifically. It's not a one-size-fits-all. So finding that advisor and tax professional to be able to work together is key. And they can help sit down with you and figure out what exactly those implications for conversions would be, as well as what the benefits can be too. So they can be a really valuable tool if used correctly in planning for your future. And another option too is just explore other vehicles outside of traditional retirement accounts. That's kind of our first place we think of, but there are things like brokerage accounts that can offer even more flexibility without some of the restrictions on how much you can contribute each year and different things like that too. So another really great tool to utilize. Something else to consider too is 401k withdrawals, those pre-tax withdrawals, they do have an impact on the taxation of Social Security. So the amount of tax you pay on your Social Security is dependent on your other sources of income. So I'm sure you can know exactly where I'm going with this is anything that comes out of pre-tax 401k is considered income. So it could almost feel like a little bit of a tax time bomb happening when you are in that space of taking Social Security. So it's another opportunity to potentially do some of that planning before you do draw Social Security. In the next couple of years, we have this really unique window of opportunity due to the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act that is set to expire in 2026. So it could mean at that point when tax rates are set to revert back to what they were, a tax increase as well, especially if you're married filing jointly and your income is between $155,000 and $190,000 of taxable income. That's where there's a significant increase that could be happening. So looking at, well, where are you tax-wise now? Where do you think you'll be in a couple of years when that is set to expire? And then where will you be potentially when you have to start taking retirement funds out? Those are really important numbers to be aware of and kind of consciously be thinking of. So this is where having that trusted advisor is really, really important. And they can help you navigate the changing tax landscape. It's kind of ever changing, right? So identifying the different opportunities that you have and figuring out how you can maximize your overall retirement savings. Because really, tax surprises are the least good surprises, right? They're my least favorite. So always want to ensure that your retirement's filled with happiness, the things that are most important to you, and not stress, especially tax stress. And at Sweet Financial, we believe everyone has the right to realize that their dreams are possible and have a fulfilling retirement. And we're here to help you achieve that vision. So to get started, really thinking about, where do you need to go? Where do you want to go? We offer a valuable resource called our Retirement Readiness Center Toolkit. It's completely free and it's available on our website, mysweetfinancial.com. And it's a great first conversation starter to get the wheels turning, get you thinking about, well, what do you need to be potentially planning for, and be a guide. So I highly encourage you to check that out. And if you found this information valuable, be sure to check out another one of our videos, 6 Retirement Lies. And in that video, I flip the script on where you may need to change your mindset to focus on what's most important.